Hey everybody, check out my new setup. You can see my old setup in the background. I haven't gone anywhere, just moved across the room. Probably a better setting. Anyway, this is a video I'm going to talk about playoff expansion to the 12 teams and what Cdogg thinks about it. All right, so one of my biggest things with this is the opt-out perspective of it. I am not a fan of bowl opt-outs. It really makes me mad. If you guys, any of you remember, I have this video from back in the season. I don't make rant videos just to dang make them and be funny. That actually made me mad, the Florida-Oklahoma game. That would have been an amazing game if all those Florida players hadn't opted out. So that really made me mad. And, anything that is trying to fix that is all right in my book. You know what I mean? I'm gonna support it, and expanding the playoffs obviously is going to make it so that there's not a lot of bowl opt-outs. Nobody's going to opt out of a playoff game, and the ones who didn't make it, those games might not be good games in the first place, or they might not have opt-outs anyway, because you don't see a lot of opt-outs, a ton of them, in those lesser bowls, because they're usually not as good teams. So, they want to play the game. You know what I mean? They're not draft amazing prospects that can just opt out and not have to worry about it. For some of those seniors that aren't in the teams ranked in the top 12. In those bowl games, they're still trying to make a name for themselves, or, trying to play what little football they have left in their senior year. Not a lot of opt-outs in those lesser bowls anyway. There's so many things happening to college football right now. There's the transfer portal, and then, of course, the playoff expansion, but also name, image, and likeness, which I'm not seeing a whole lot of people talking about in relation to the playoffs or anything. It seems like, name, image, and likeness is a huge change, and not a lot of people are talking about it. It's being overshadowed by the playoffs. I, for one, am not necessarily not wanting change, but I'm just not crazy about so many of them at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I had a theory, yes, the expanding the playoffs to 12 teams will decrease bowl opt-outs, but I had a theory that all the best players, they're going to have sponsors who aren't going to want them to opt out of bowl games. So say if you're in a New Year's Six bowl that's not a playoff game, chances are if you're a top 12 team, your top players on your team are being paid by whatever sponsor they have, Nike or whatever car dealership, I don't know. They're not going to want their, what am I paying you for? You're going to opt out of the bowl game? No. They're getting paid now, so they got to play the bowls. So I had a theory kind of that would prevent the bowl opt-outs and image and likeness, which that goes into effect this year. So we will see if that's what happens. We will see. The playoff expansion's coming so quickly. I think the earliest they were talking about was 2023. That's just early. And a lot of people say, pick how many teams you want. You don't need to go up in increments. You don't need to go 6, 8, 10, 12. Pick what you want and go for it. I'm not crazy about that, because I would like to see it done in increments, because you can't go back if it's too many. Let's face it, they're not going back. They're only going to put more teams in it. They're not gonna lessen the teams. So, what if 6 is the perfect amount and it solves all the problems? Nothing's going to solve all the problems. Nothing's going to be perfect, but what if 6 is the right number for it? Have a playing game. I don't know. I kind of would like to see it go up in increments is where I'm at. I do like that the group of 5 teams get a chance. I think there should be no auto bids for the group of 5 unless they're undefeated. Maybe they need like one Power 5 win. I'm no fool. I know that some teams the G5 teams aren't as good. I don't think they should get an auto bid unless they're undefeated. Unless their one loss is against like Ohio State, that year, and it wasn't like a horrible loss. If the loss was to like Ohio State or something, then that's understandable. But if they're not undefeated, I really am not in favor of Group of 5 teams getting in just because they are the highest ranked Group of 5 team. I just think that there's something inherently wrong with Group of 5 teams going undefeated and still not getting in. Like they couldn't have done any better, and they still didn't get in, and I just don't like that at all. I don't think that's right. They might get smacked. They probably will get smacked in the first round. Well, in the 12-team playoff, they would actually have a chance at winning a first-round game, not a second-round game, I don't think. Speaking of rolling right into that, the first-round matchups, they're going to be amazing. Probably some of the best games we've ever seen in college football because they're going to be, especially towards the middle of the seeding, it's going to be evenly matched teams. That's going to be some amazing games. That first round. Second round, though, will be a bloodbath. That's when the teams that are the top 4 teams, they'll be coming off a bye, and they will be fresh, and they'll probably it won't be pretty. I'll tell you that. I do like what I like about the 12 team as opposed to like 8. Is that it makes the top 4 elite teams. Usually there's only 3 really elite ones, and then the 4th one's kind of like, but it makes them sit out. Like, sit over here, and you don't get to play. You don't get to blow anybody out yet. We get to watch all of the equally matched lower tier teams play, and I really like that. There won't be any blowouts in the first round. Well, there will be blowouts in the first round, probably when you get the 5 and 12 seeding, but towards the middle, man, those are going to be some good matchups. I'm really, really looking forward to that. That'll be some of the best games in football. It'll get rid of the blowouts, and yeah. I love that you get playoff games on the home campus if you are the higher seed. That is awesome, man. Can you imagine the atmosphere on campus during when you get to host a playoff game, man? That is awesome. I can't applaud that enough. That's awesome. One thing I've been saying about Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame is a team that irritates me, and because they won't join a conference and won't participate in really anything, they're just irritating. They think they're better than everybody else. I like that. I like what the committee has done because I've been saying for a while that in order for Notre Dame to join a conference in the 4-team playoff, they would have to go undefeated, and then there also be 4 undefeated Power 5 champions, and then Notre Dame gets left out. How funny would that be? That would be just poetic justice. And I think they would probably get really mad and join a conference after that. And I'm like, no, there's 12 teams now. They're not going to join one. Well, guess what? The committee then said the 4 bye weeks go to the highest ranked Power 5 champions, which means that Notre Dame can never get the bye week. The highest they can be ranked in the playoff poll is 5th, and that is just really funny. I love things that stick it to Notre Dame. It's just awesome. I love it. For anybody who thinks that this is going to knock down the big guys out of their power, I hate to break it to you, they're still going to dominate the playoffs. You might see some scrappy teams make it into the 3rd round, maybe, but those teams that are elite are there for a reason because they're so deep with the talent. They can survive 3 games in a row of amazing competition. So, because if you're a scrappy young Cinderella story, you have to play 4 of top 10 teams in a row in order to win the national championship. It's just not going to happen. Might pull off 1 or 2 upsets, but other than that, I just don't think that. I don't think that'll change much. Now, will it affect recruiting and balance out over time? Maybe, because they're saying, hey, you can get to the playoffs if you come here. Not like until now, not many teams were able to say that. Like 3 teams were able to say every year you'll be in the playoffs. So we might see a recruiting more parity in recruiting after this, because now there's 12 teams that can say, hey, man, most years than not, we'll get you in the playoffs. So that may balance it out over time. We'll see. And then I've heard the argument, 12 is more teams than are capable of winning a national championship. Absolutely. Absolutely true. That is true. The point of expanding the playoffs was for money. The point of expanding to 12, the 12 number, was to create those amazing matchups in week 1. That's all it is. Every playoff game was a blowout last year. And in the final rounds, you'll probably see a lot more of that. But in those first rounds, it'll be magical, and there'll be no opt-outs. All right, so I'll bring it to a close here when I bring back what I was talking about at the beginning. As far as the name, image, and likeness thing, I don't think the playoff expansion is the end of the world. I would have liked to just seen it a little later after we kind of let the dust settle on this name, image, and likeness deal. I think the bowl opt-out problem would have sorted itself out with that. Other than that, they're just doing it for money. So whatever makes the most money. They're talking about bringing billions in. So, hey, more eyes on college football. Maybe it could be a good thing for the sport. I don't know. It's too hard to tell. It's too hard to tell in the off season. There's all kind of crazy stuff going on, and it's just crazy. So I don't think it's the end of the world. I just wish maybe it could have been a little later. But all right. I appreciate everybody watching. Go Jackets. Hey, maybe my Jackets will make it in now. Maybe it won't be so long before the Dago Jackets make it in there. How about that? All right, you guys. I'll see you next time.